Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. 3 years on YouTube today. I never would have guessed that possible. I want to thank everybody who has subscribed and listened and commented. It's been a journey. It's been an amazing journey. This channel started out with cryptid encounters and creepypasta to just all cryptid encounter. And I have grown a lot with this channel and a lot with the support of you guys. This channel started out as a way of me coping with the diagnosis of having a terminal illness and the losses that I went through. This has brought me so much joy, and I don't have any words to say except thank you. And tonight's upload is dedicated to all of you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And before the upload, as you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. All of those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fan fiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that really don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Also, please, let us all say a prayer for everybody in the world tonight. May we all make it through this. Now, I've taken enough of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? Today's first part of the upload is some Q&A from William. JR714 asked, are any of the missing 411 cases related? I have worked 2 cases I know for sure are in one of the books. And I'm sure that there are others that we are not aware of, and some other agents also could have worked some as well, that I do not know about. Super Salyan Bebo asks, are there any in Florida? The answer is yes. They are in every state now, including Alaska and Canada and Mexico for sure. Brad asks, if I would pull some strings to get him into my unit. Brad, I don't think you realize what you're asking. You have never taken a human life. Be thankful for that. You don't have the military background and training. If I was to get you on and something did happen to you, what do you think that would do to me, and what these people would think of me for hiring someone not qualified to do the job? I'm terribly sorry, Brad. Jonathan Wright asks, do Bigfoot talk to Dogman and Werewolf, and are Dogman subordinates to Bigfoot? As far as I know, they can get their point across to one another. As far as clear communication, I will say no. As far as being subordinates, I've never seen it myself. The story you shared, I have had probably 15 different people tell it to me, and they, or all, knew one of the hunters, so it would be hard for me to believe this story, Jonathan. Adolfo Chavez asks, how many pups do they have at a time? Most of the Dogman will have 3, and the Werewolf will have 2. The Werewolf are usually quite a bit larger than the Dogman pups. Keith Riverside asks, which has the most brain power and being able to make a judgment call? Well, that would be between the Bigfoot and the Werewolf. A lot would depend on the situation. If it's a high-pressure situation, and there is a lot on the line, the Werewolf will react much better to that situation. If it's something that needs to just be thought through, then the Bigfoot will do better in that type of situation. Carl Davis asks, do Hollywood producers have any inside information about what these creatures look like? Not to my knowledge, they don't have any inside information about them. But I will say this, they should, that way people would know what they are seeing when they see one of these things. Cecilia Richmond asks, Does the werewolf ever shift back to a man? Cecilia, they are born as a beast and are always a beast for their entire life. Lost Soul asks, how to behave if you encounter any of the big three. Well, this would be my best suggestion to you if you are not armed with a gun heavy enough to kill all three. Remain as still as possible and do not move. Do not make eye contact unless it's already showing aggression towards you. Then you need to use what you have for a weapon, or try to find a weapon. If you think it has not yet seen you, stay still, tuck your head, and watch this creature like you are looking out from underneath the brim of a baseball cap with your head down. If it has seen you and is not showing aggression towards you, stay still, and maybe it will lose interest in you and just walk away. Brian Collig asks, how do I know if there's a Dogman or a werewolf or a Bigfoot nearby? First thing to watch for is silence. That will come to your surroundings, and pay attention to your wild game in the area. You will notice that it's disappearing. Then farm animals will be killed and eaten on. And finally, domestic animals, family pets that are left outside at night will start coming up missing. And after that, well, it's humans. And they will advance to that to survive and keep from starving. John Sumner asks, that the Dogman were engineered where all of their vital organs are on the right side of their bodies. Well, that's not true. They have not been altered in any way. I shoot them center mass, but their breastbone is probably at least 3.5 inches thick and 7 or 8 inches wide. It is massive. The werewolf is even larger, and the Bigfoot is even larger than that. Of both, but the reason why I shoot them center mass is to slow them down, and it makes for an easier headshot. Jeff, here are some questions I answered. The others are on my computer with a dead battery. I have it charging and will send them somewhere around 3:30 this afternoon, but I have no hunt to upload. Sorry, Bill. Tonight's second part of the upload is a subscriber, Dogman Encounter. Hey Jeff, I've been meaning to write you and relay a possible Dogman sighting here in northern New Jersey by my at-the-time future sister and brother-in-law, here in northern New Jersey. But first I wanted to tell you about a weird occurrence at my last apartment that had my wife and I at the edge for a few nights after. One night around spring of 2018, my wife and I were watching TV in the living room at about 9:30. The sliding glass doors were to my left and the curtains were closed because people walk around the complex to get exercise, even at night, and it's weird that people can look inside, and it bugs us out when they appear out of nowhere. So at one point, we both hear this low grumbling noise that reverberates in the room, even making my chest and stomach kind of vibrate, and at first I can't tell where it's coming from, until after giving my wife a look of what the fuck. I turned towards the sliding glass door to my left. The sound, it seemed, is coming from that direction. But how is it still making me feel so strange? It lasted 4 to 5 seconds, and once it stopped, we both still had the looks of what the fuck on our faces and tried to figure out what the sound was and where it came from. My wife offered an explanation that the guy in the apartment upstairs from us must have been moving furniture or something, and that's what made the noise. True, the guy was a lousy upstairs neighbor, and nearly every night he seemed to be making noise by sliding things around up there or dropping his bowling ball or whatever. But this noise was unlike anything that had come from his inconsiderate nightly activities, and she agreed with me that the sound seemed to be coming from the outside. Looking back, I now wonder why we weren't more cautious or creeped out, but we went outside for a cigarette every 30 minutes or so, and that time was just about here. So maybe 15 minutes after we heard the strange sound, we went out back to smoke cigarettes. It was almost 10 o'clock, and the night was chilly and dead quiet, with the woods less than 100 feet away from our building, which was in the outskirts of the complex, where there was a big field of grass before the woods where a transit train ran. What bothered us was the smell that met our senses when we got outside to smoke. I waited to hear what she said before I said anything, and I didn't have to wait but a few seconds before my wife said, "Ew, babe, what's that smell?" It was a sour smell of rotting animal carcass, blood and urine mixed together. It was all around us. That night there was no breeze. The air was chilly, as I said before, but pretty still. So it was hard to tell where the smell was coming from. We figured it had to be coming from the woods to our left, where they passed closest to our apartment. There wasn't any garbage bags left outside by any of our neighbors that we could see. And anyway, we always seemed to be the only people that came outside on their patios to sit on our chairs and enjoy the scenery. That smell wasn't of garbage. It was the smell of death plus urine and blood. I've never smelled anything quite like that, except maybe roadkill. But all those smells combined was something way worse. We both finished our smokes and had enough of that nasty smell and went back inside to watch some more TV. About 30 minutes later, we went out back for another smoke. I checked to see if there was anything at the door before opening, and strangely this time the smell was completely gone. It had vanished. Neither of us could catch a whiff of it anymore, and still the air felt very still without a slightest breeze. Not to mention, very quiet. Where'd the smell go? And more so, where did it come from in the first place? We have no idea. But once we talked more about it, and the possibility of that growling sound and that terrible smell coming from the same source, we weren't so keen on going outside anymore that night. Maybe it was nothing. But we weren't feeling that. We really wanted to know what was going on. So we finished our cigarettes and went back inside for the rest of the night. Weird, huh? You ever heard anything like that before, Jeff? Could have just been our imagination, sure, I know, but you gotta admit, those two things together, the smell and the noise, don't make a person who heard stories of Bigfoot and Dogman feel like hanging outside near the woods at night. Is not gonna sleep very well. So now on to the story I heard from my sister and brother-in-law. Kara and Kurt were driving home on Route 181 in Jefferson Township from a diner. That stretch of road is in Hopat Kong and has a few houses on that section. It's very dark at night with no streetlights. I have since driven down it with my wife during the day, and it's pretty woodsy and snakes its way through the hills. Well, as they're driving, with Kurt behind the wheel of his SUV, where the speed limit is 45 miles an hour, out of the darkness to the right comes an animal appearing to materialize from the night. It crosses the two-lane road mere feet in front of their car, its paws making contact with the pavement, then bounding off over a guardrail. Kara said that for a split second she thought they might collide with this enormous, wolf-looking thing, but Kurt sort of froze and gripped the steering wheel instead of swerving, dumbfounded by what they were seeing. Once it was gone, the two of them were silent for a few moments. Then Kara spoke to Kurt, asking, "Do you remember that movie Silver Bullet?" "Yeah," Kurt said. "That's what I saw too." When Kara and Kurt first relayed their story to me, it was Easter dinner at my mother-in-law's house. We'd been talking about Bigfoot, and my girlfriend at the time asked me to tell Kara and Kurt about the Dogman and some of the YouTube videos I'd been listening to of people's sightings in these scary cryptids. I told them about your channel and Vic's and Dark Waters, saying that to me some of the stories sounded fake, but more than a few really made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. As I finished, Kurt, who had just a minute ago scoffed at Cammie's interest in Bigfoot, turned to Kara and said, "Should we tell them our story of what we saw?" Causing me to chuckle, thinking that he was joking with us and that Kara would just start to laugh or play along and make something up on the spot. Boy, was I wrong. When Kara proceeded to tell the story I told you about her and Kurt's sighting of a huge wolf along that road, she described it as being as wide as 6 feet from the nose to butt, with a tail as well. It was pale gray and shaggy. She said the proportions of the thing were not right, though, and its head was oversized, and the shape of its body didn't look like a natural wolf. Its front legs looked out of proportion with its body, and the way it moved wasn't right either. Like the proportions of the body caused it to move in a strange way, though it seemed very powerful and able to cover huge distances with its strides. We have a wolf sanctuary not far from here called Lakota Wolf Preserve, and most everyone has heard of it, and Kara has been there to see the timber and gray wolves and their outdoor enclosures. She's seen how big they are in real life and up close no more than 10 feet away behind a chain-link fences that separate them from the visitors. She said that what she and Kurt saw looked very different from those wolves in the preserve, and the werewolf from the movie Silver Bullet popped into her head right away due to the strange way it moved, its proportions, and its sheer size. The animal's back, while it passed on all fours in front of the car, was well above the hood. Its legs were so long. This animal came out of the woods moving extremely fast from a high arching leap, landing on its feet on the road and then springing back up and to their left across an oncoming lane, making the entire distance of some 35 feet look like it exerted little effort to travel before it practically flew into the woods and disappeared into the darkness. I was listening to their story with obvious excitement and asked them about the size and whatever other details they could provide, including the name of the road they saw it on. Kara and Kurt both said it was huge, bigger than the front of my SUV. Yeah, it was really big. My wife and I were astonished. Her sister never told her about what they had saw before, not until that day. When I told them about the coolest new cryptid on the block, the Dogman, and how there were whole channels on YouTube dedicated to telling the stories of people's encounters with these things, they both aren't the type of making something like that up. Especially Kurt. I've gotten to know him better since then, and I know he's a no-nonsense kind of guy. Well, that's the story of what Kara and Kurt told me and my wife about their Silver Bullet encounter up here in northern New Jersey. I know that you've told some other stories of sightings here in Jersey, and hearing those from you, I just had to send this story so that your listeners know that along with the mountain lions and Jersey Devil, looks like the Dogman has made its home here as well, too. Thanks for sharing, Jeff. Tonight's third part of the upload is going to be some more Q&A from William. Jeff, hope all your viewers are doing fine. I hope you're fine. Here are a few more Q&A that came from the last episode. Frederick Hillman asks, do you think the folks going missing in Canada could be caused by these creatures? Frederick, it is possible some go missing due to these creatures, but I wouldn't think that it would be 100% caused by them. Zan Zink asked, I wonder why I've never heard the Vietnamese people talk about these creatures. I would think because there was so few used in the country and their hiding ability that they may never be seen at all by anyone after they were free, and that they were in covered cages and only released at night operations, is my understanding, but all that was before my time. That is only what I have read in classified folders on the subject of Vietnam. That is now public info if you have the time to go and spend, and the time going through file to file. Thanos Snap asked, what do I do about a Bigfoot leaving me gifts? First thing I need to know is where you're located and what type of person you are. Are you the type of person that can take care of your problems yourself, or do you need help from others? And never leave it food, never. It is already honed in on something at your home, or you or your spouse or kids. And to take out your pet is just the first sign of aggression. Please answer these questions, though, through Jeff as soon as possible, so I will know what manner of Bigfoot we are dealing with. I have an idea, but want to make sure before I say something wrong and scare you. About the only real thing that works that's non-lethal is to put up a high-powered light. But it needs to be placed really high so they cannot reach it, and it turns the light away. John Sumner asks, has a dogman and a werewolf ever interbred? John, to the very best of my knowledge, it is not possible for them to breed with one another. This comes from the people I have talked with the breeding program, and they say it's impossible. Raptured Duck asks, do dogman ever come into big cities? And if so, how far do they come? Yes, they travel into big cities. I've killed werewolves in the following cities: Atlanta, Georgia; Chicago, Illinois; Greenville, South Carolina; Denver, Colorado; Seattle, Washington; and Houston, Texas. Jeffrey Lane asked, heard a story about a man that had a dogman on his property, and a team in all black showed up with beams to get him. Jeffrey, my team wears all black. As far as beams, I don't know what that would be, as we all carry conventional guns like everyone else carries. We all chose our own caliber and type of weapons, except for the fully auto, and they are furnished by the government. Angel G asks, can a female connect with someone through a mental link? They don't need to connect through a mental link when they can speak to you if they are alone with you at a time. Toxic Sunshine asks, would I ever adopt a dogman puppy? Toxic, the answer would have to be no. You would run into so many problems down the line for me to adopt one. As bad as I want to take Sebastian home when I retire to Colorado, I know I can't do that because there is always going to be that streak in these creatures that you can never fully trust, even with Sebastian. When I take him out in the night air, it's up to him if I come back alive, and if he comes back to the enclosure or not. Joey Outlaw asks, will a 20-gauge shotgun take one out with a 275 Sabbath slug? I've never tried it or heard of anyone using that combination on one. Sounds like it would be heavy enough, but I would make sure it was a perfect headshot. As for me personally, I don't trust shotguns and slugs myself. But we had an agent, that is all he used till he was taken out by a werewolf, that he should have not been sent on in the first place. It was reported to him as a dogman by our CO. Here you go, Jeff, 10 more Q&A. I've been asleep for 3 hours, and that damn rookie is missing and can't find him anywhere, so here I go looking for him out in the swamp, and this creature is still lurking around somewhere. Bill, I will check in when I can. Wow. Wow and wow. I'm pretty happy with today's upload. Today's 3-year celebration. I really am so thankful that I have this channel. I don't know what I would do. I'd be pretty friggin' bored, and I don't even know anymore. You guys have become friends and family, support line. You guys are just amazing. Truly, truly good people. Salt of the earth people. And I thank you for being here for me. I hope you guys enjoyed all of these questions William took time out to answer. I certainly learned a lot. I didn't know how many pups a dogman or werewolf had. I mean, to be honest, before William appeared on my channel, I didn't even know there was really a difference. I always thought there was just variations of hyena-like Dogman and wolf-like Dogman. Like I said, it's cryptozoology. It's not biology. We don't know everything. We barely know anything. And those that say they do are liars. Truly a terrifying story out of New Jersey. It makes me wonder what was lurking around his home that night. Obviously something was. The growl and the stench. And then, to be an avid listener of cryptid stories, that definitely would screw with one's brain. But then to have their family members say that they just saw this huge, odd-shaped wolf-like creature bound across the road. New Jersey's definitely got some crazy stuff going on. Actually, every state does. I used to think like there was epicenters for these animals. I still do, kind of. Ohio and Pennsylvania. Of course, LBL, Michigan, Wisconsin. But now I'm starting to really see that they're all over. And it's truly fascinating. Truly fascinating. Hopefully William keeps sending us the Q&A. And I'd like to hear another story coming up. He's working on one now. And I honestly feel privileged and blessed to have him share his info with us. Beside that, the 3 years that I've been on YouTube, I have narrated almost 500 uploads and have met a bunch of great people. I've met some jerks too, but I can't say I didn't want to meet them either. I like to meet all sorts of people. It makes life interesting. Anyway, remember what I say at the end of my videos now. Let's make this world a we world, not a me world. There's time to be selfish, but now is really not the time. You don't have to expose yourself to anything, but, it's always nice to just, reach out to a family member or an old friend, give them a call, send them an email. How you been? Are you okay? Yeah, so anyway. I know that last night when I spoke of a subscriber in Italy, he heard it and he immediately sent me out a message thanking me, which made me feel good because just him knowing that someone else is thinking about him in his time of tragedy and need, it probably lifted him up a little bit, So let's just remember to be kind to each other during these times. And even after these times, let's not forget. Because there might not be a second time. And with that, guys, I want to bid you guys all blessings and farewell.